Brent Venables, of course, made such significant strides in year 2 in Norman. We'll see what the forecast is for year 3. We're talking Sooners football for the next 30 minutes or so. We've got Parker Thune here, KREF Sports, and of course, OU Insider on Rivals. Parker, it's good to see you.
Yeah, likewise, Mark. Always a pleasure.
Appreciate you being here. And Parker does an outstanding job. So we will have his information up on a banner. You want to follow him if you love college football, even if you're not an Oklahoma fan. Of course, so many comings and goings, and this was an aspect of the transfer portal, Parker, that I knew was there, but I guess I didn't process it, about coaches leaving and that extending the portal in certain ways. Of course, we've had this domino effect from Alabama to Washington to Arizona and San Jose State, and now Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan, even though no Wolverines have entered the portal yet. Oklahoma, your thoughts about anybody else out there and how active they could be because of these extended windows?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, Oklahoma is hot in pursuit of a pair of offensive linemen, formerly of the Washington Huskies. They're actually brothers. Garen Hatchett, who was a starting guard for the Huskies for the last 2 seasons, and then his younger brother, Landon, who played in 9 games as a true freshman this past year for Washington. So the expectation is that Oklahoma is going to get both of those guys. Garen visited last weekend. Landon is visiting this weekend, and Garen put out a tweet last night where he basically said, hey, I'm moving on from Washington, which was very revealing because it had kind of been apparent for quite some time that what was either going to happen is that he was going to return to Washington or he was going to transfer to Oklahoma. So that in itself kind of suggests that the Sooners are closing in there on 2 more excellent portal additions for Bill Bedenbaugh's offensive line.
Wow. We just saw a couple announcements yesterday where Washington's basically 2 starting guards from last season moved on to Ole Miss as a tandem. So their offensive line decimated for 2024, it would appear. We see 10 incoming players through the transfer portal. So let's focus on them first and foremost, because I don't know that I got your thoughts on a number of these guys. So Casey Thompson is the guy that certainly has a name, led the Big 12 in touchdown passes at Texas a few seasons ago, took over the starting role at Nebraska. I got to say, I was a bit surprised when Jeff Sims stepped on campus and took over the job. There really wasn't much of a battle there, and I considered Casey Thompson to be the better quarterback. He goes to FAU, and now he comes back to Oklahoma. Of course, there's a legacy factor there. Just your thoughts about Casey Thompson and a possible quarterback competition, or is he definitely the backup?
Definitely the backup. He's coming in with that expectation and that understanding. He is Sooner born, Sooner bred. Obviously, Dad Charles was an Oklahoma great in the late 1980s. And, it's funny. If you listen to Casey kind of tell the story of his journey to Oklahoma, he almost committed to the Sooners out of high school. One thing led to another, and a very honest conversation with Lincoln Riley led him to kind of pursue other options, and he ends up at Texas. He actually entered the transfer portal after his freshman season. Of course, the transfer portal was in its infancy at that point, so it wasn't as much of an institution as it is these days, such that every single time somebody's name pops up, you're instantly getting reports on it from a zillion different people who have access to the transfer portal. He very quietly entered the portal after his freshman season and actually enrolled at Oklahoma. After a conversation with his family, decided to go ahead, return to Texas. Obviously, as you mentioned, leads the Big 12 in touchdown passes for the Longhorns in 2021. Almost transferred to Oklahoma that following offseason as well, but Dylan Gabriel beat him to the punch. The following offseason, after his 1-year stint at Nebraska, almost transferred to Oklahoma once again, but decided that he wanted to go somewhere where he could start. Lands at Florida Atlantic, plays 3 games, tears the ACL, and he's going to be participating in his 7th year of college football coming up for Oklahoma. And so I think the thought for Casey right now is that long-term he wants to be a coach. He wants to have a career in coaching. So he gets to come back home, help a program that he has always admired and respected and rooted for. And if they need him, he's going to be available. He'll be battling with Michael Hawkins and Brendan Zerbrug, 2 incoming freshmen, for the role of primary backup behind presumed starter Jackson Arnold. So he'll be ready in a pinch if they need him. But I think year 7 for Casey Thompson is more about just finding somewhere where he can settle down, put down roots, be comfortable for a little while, and make the seamless transition from playing to coaching.
Parker, Jake Roberts is the most recent of the additions through the transfer portal. The tight end comes in from Baylor, had 1 season with the Baylor Bears, caught 66 passes in his career, 23 of those with Baylor last season. Is this just a role player, or do they think that this is a guy that can be a target on a regular basis?
Well, there's not a ton of proven depth in Oklahoma's tight end room. You bring in Jake Roberts because he has experience. And there's another angle to it as well. I'll dive into that in just a second. But as you look at Oklahoma's tight end room as it stands, absent Jake Roberts, right? You have a guy that has caught 1 pass in his collegiate career in Caden Helms. You have another guy who's caught 1 pass in his collegiate career in Cade McIntyre. You have an incoming freshman in Devon Mitchell, who, although he is a very talented player and was a blue chip recruit that had every offer in the country, obviously hasn't done anything at the collegiate level either. And then the Sooners had previously in the cycle added Bauer Sharp from Southeastern Louisiana, a converted quarterback and superb all-around athlete. But again, it's one thing to excel at the FCS level. I think Southeastern Louisiana is actually Division II. It's one thing to excel at that level. It's another thing to excel at the Power 5 level. So in Jake Roberts, what you know is that you have a guy who has played a long time at the FBS level, had success, been a starter, and he's somebody that you can count on if there is no viable alternative. If none of those other guys pan out, which Oklahoma expects that they're going to have at least a couple of dudes that they can rely on in that tight end room. But Jake Roberts provides experience, and you can count on that guy to give you quality snaps, give you quality reps if there is no better option available at your disposal. And also, Jake's younger brother, Nate Roberts, is a 4-star tight end and composite top 100 player in the 2025 cycle. He's from right down the road in Washington, Oklahoma, which is about 20 minutes from Norman. So the Sooners are certainly hoping that bringing in Jake is going to increase their chances of landing Nate as well. They're battling Ohio State and Oregon right now for his services.
KREF Sports, OU Insider, Parker Thune. You can catch him on KREF Sports every weekday from 12 to 3 Central Time. KREF Sports, that's the show with Parker Thune right there. All right, I'm going to ask you, in addition to the losses on the transfer portal side from a micro standpoint, but also from a big picture. So we'll start micro. I think this is one aspect of it that frustrates fans. Dalen Smothers, big recruit, a lot of expectation. The typical Oklahoma fan tracks the recruiting, the pursuit of him. He commits, he signs, he's in the running back room. They don't get any production out of him, and then he's off to the transfer portal and signs with NC State. Just that being new to college football, that a lot of guys where there was so much expectation and anticipation of the contribution, and then before they produce anything, they're off somewhere else.
Yeah, it's just part of the new normal, Mark. And it obviously hurts a little bit when you're an Oklahoma fan and you see a guy like Dalen Smothers and maybe you didn't expect to enter the transfer portal. A lot of the guys that entered the portal from Oklahoma this past offseason were processed, and that the Oklahoma staff said, hey, there's really not a path to playing time for you here. I think you'd be well served to look somewhere else. That wasn't the case for Dalen Smothers. He and Caden Green, the outstanding freshman guard who ended up transferring to Missouri, those were 2 guys that the Oklahoma staff did not plan on leaving, and they certainly did not want them to leave. But these days, that's how it is. It happens to every single program. You will have guys every single year that enter the transfer portal unexpectedly. Yeah, it gives and it takes. And I think that's the important thing to understand, is that even losing a guy like Dalen Smothers, as highly regarded as he is / was, well, it opens the door for Oklahoma to potentially take a guy, a very talented guy, that they might not otherwise have had room for. And they brought in Tennessee Martin, transferred Sam Franklin to kind of augment their other pieces in the backfield with Smothers out the door. Franklin is a guy that was very highly coveted at the Power 5 level when he entered the portal. Oklahoma beat out several high-end contenders for his services. And so it's the old adage, one door closes, another one opens. And that's just kind of the approach that you have to take these days with it, because you're going to get victimized by it, but you'll also benefit from it.
And then, of course, the other end of the spectrum is the guy that becomes a productive player, stays for quite a long time. The fan base gets attached to him. You see guys like Key Lawrence, of course, moving on to Ole Miss after being a 3-year starter. Tyree Walker to a lesser extent, although during a large stretch of the season this past year, he was the guy because of injuries and other issues who really gave a nice performance to keep that running back room viable for a large stretch of the season. So those guys are lost as well.
Yeah. And once again, I use the example of a guy like Tyree Walker, certainly somebody that had a sizable impact for Oklahoma, but also, as your roster continues to improve and as your bottom line continues to raise, you want to be able to lean on guys like Tyree Walker a little bit less. And he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't have that fifth gear that you expect from a running back at a place like Oklahoma. He's a bowling ball, straight downhill type of dude, bouncy, never brought down on first contact, but he also wasn't somebody that was going to break one for 50 or 60 or even be a threat to, right? And so I think the vision at Oklahoma under Brent Venables, as you turn the page from year 2 to year 3, is you want the roster to continually be improving such that some of the guys that you had to lean on in the recent past are guys that you can afford not to lean on or can even afford to watch walk into the transfer portal, as in Tyree Walker's case. And the Sooners got a big lift late in the season when Gavin Sawchuk finally got healthy and kind of seized command of that backfield, finished the season with 5 straight 100-yard performances. So the hope and the expectation is that as Venables and his staff continue to turn over this roster and construct it to their specifications, that they're going to get better across the board and more consistent across the board, more explosive across the board.
And of course, Parker, as the roster gets turned over, we know that one of the big initiatives from Brent Venables was the evolution and the effort put toward the strength and conditioning program. Does that continue to be talked about in regards to the progress that they've made and what they still want to accomplish?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, especially going into the SEC, for a program like Oklahoma, strength and conditioning has to be an aspect that is not only emphasized, but elite. And the Sooners have a guy in Jerry Schmidt, their head strength coach, who is one of the elites across the country in his department. So, it's something that, year 1, they had to break a lot of guys, quite honestly. They had to figure out who could hang and who couldn't at a place like Oklahoma, because there had been a lot of bad evals, a lot of questionable, shaky evals by the former staff. And Venables and his group had to find out quickly, okay, who actually is not only physically good enough to stay here, but who is mentally tough enough to play the style of football that we want to play at Oklahoma. And you don't necessarily get all of your answers in the weight room, but what happens in the weight room will go a long way towards helping you find those answers.
Parker, we see a offer go out to 5-star tight end Kendra Harrison. That's, of course, for 2025. We also know that the late signing day is coming up here in a couple of weeks. Anything on the recruiting front that we should be looking out for?
No, nothing imminent. The Sooners are not pursuing anybody else in the 2024 cycle. They're content with their class. It currently sits at number 7 in the country. 27 scholarship signees. They feel great about it, feel as though they covered all their bases, addressed all their needs, and now the focus turns toward 2025. They already have 9 commits in the 2025 class. and are hosting a junior day tomorrow, Saturday, the 27th, in which they will host upwards of 30 nationally elite prospects, both commits and targets, as they kind of start to figure out who they want to prioritize in the 2025 cycle moving forward. It's going to be a smaller class for Oklahoma. My expectation is 20 to 22 players. In this one, you already have 9. So the staff is going to have to be pretty scrupulous about who they make a priority moving forward. But they've got good options, got a lot of blue chip type 4 or 5-star dudes that have high interest in Oklahoma. And so you just kind of got to mentally flip the page from 2024 to 2025, which is a tough thing to do for people in my line of work because it's just a vicious cycle, right? You kind of flush all the prospects from one season, and then next cycle, one rolls straight into the other. So recruiting is a nonstop game. The Sooner staff certainly approaches it as such, and they'll be hosting junior days not only tomorrow, the 27th, but the following weekend, February 3rd, as they kind of start to put eyes literally on some of their top targets in the 2025 cycle.
And folks, if you're starting to review those 2025 classes, 9 commits at this stage is really high compared to the other top programs in the country. So Oklahoma off to another strong start for 2025. Parker Thune, KREF Sports, OU Insider on Rivals. Any particulars there just to make sure that people can find you, Parker?
Yeah, there you see my Twitter handle at Parker Thune. Great place to stay up to date with everything that I am doing. OUinsider.com on the Rivals Network is the premier source for all OU sports and recruiting information. If you are a Sooner fan, if so, go ahead, grab a subscription over there. It'll only cost you a few bucks a month, and we will keep you more than informed.
Parker, always great to have you. Appreciate the insight. Have a great day.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you.
Great stuff, as always, from Parker Thune. He is always one of those phone calls that I make, one of those text messages, one of those DMs to talk Oklahoma football. He's been joining us for quite a long time, and one of the reasons why we have produced 142 shows for the Oklahoma live show. So if you follow us on a regular basis here at the Voice of College Football, you understand that we've got 15, that's 15 team channels. Most of those are active. We do have a few that were active at one point that we need to grow and build at some point, but we want to make sure that the channels that we're focusing on are strong. So our situation with Oklahoma Live and the last 3 that we've produced have done fairly well, 2,000, 2,500 views. So we want to continue to produce Oklahoma content, specifically this Sooners live show. So please listen. This is where we stand right now on this. SD1 Sports, the fine folks over there, we've had a partnership, a working relationship with them for a few years. Chris and the gang at SD1 Sports, they do a great job. Check out their content. However, the Oklahoma show exists over there on the SD1 Sports channel. We're simulcasting right now on the main national channel, on SD1 Sports Oklahoma, and then also on our SEC channel. And so we are moving this show. So if you're watching on SD1 Sports, certainly check out what Chris has available there. But also keep in mind that we are moving this Oklahoma show to some combination of our channels here at the Voice of College Football, and it will certainly be on the SEC channel. So we don't want this show to be a situation where a lot of people wonder where it went because you're only watching the SD1 Sports Oklahoma channel for this show. And our situation with Sooners Live, as you can see, we produced 142 shows. Those for the better part of that run has been a weekly show on time every week. However, our buddy Jason Ray has not been able to continue the show. There's no issue there. Jason's still a good friend, but he has other work and family obligations, so he has not been able to continue the OU live show with us. Therefore, we've got guys like John Hoover and Parker Thune and other Oklahoma contacts that I reach out to every week. None of them are able to make a commitment to a show each and every week because they have their own deals going on. But we have them on a regular basis. So we are building a rotation of Oklahoma guests and will continue. A priority is to continue this Sooners live show for all of you each and every week. Again, we've got an investment of 142 shows, and has been shown over the last several shows with 2,000 to 2,500 views is that you guys enjoy the show. And you just heard Parker Thune for a half hour. We didn't get him for quite as long as we have in the past, but he has his other obligations. He's got a show starting in about 20 or 25 minutes, I believe, as well. So keep that in mind. But the Sooner show, we are committed to it, but make sure that you are here at the Voice of College Football so you don't miss any episodes or wonder what happened to the show. Parker mentioned that there's a big recruiting weekend at Oklahoma this weekend. We also had that same conversation with Jason Priester of Clemson, allclemsontigers.com. And you can catch that segment with Jason Priester outlining the Clemson recruiting weekend. Huge weekend for Clemson recruiting as well. That's over on the Clemson channel. And we are here at the Voice of College Football nonstop with all of you. Our next show is the Transfer Portal show that we are doing and committed to this week to see how that would be received Monday through Friday. So at 4 p.m. Eastern time, we will see you back right here, Transfer Portal show. And then also, we've got the Big Ten Live show that comes up tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time. 7 o'clock Eastern time, the Big Ten Live show. And in the meantime, would love to hear from any of you in the chat. Again, programming note, keep it locked in here at the Voice of College Football on the main channel to stay connected with our Oklahoma live show. And for the rest of the day, we've got the Transfer Portal update at 4 p.m. Eastern time, the Big Ten Live show at 7 Eastern. We've got the Mountaineer Fan Zone show over on the West Virginia channel at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And then directly after the Big Ten Live show, Big Ten fans, head over to the USC channel for the USC call-in show with Matt Zemek and Tim Prangley at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific time. That's the rundown. And if you can't keep track of all of that, go to the community page every day right here on the main channel, and we outline the entire program lineup here at the Voice of College Football every day. All right, who's in the chat? Bishop Frank, DR Newkirk, Sooners appreciate fire. Big salute, fam. Good to have you here. Again, make sure that you are subscribed here at the Voice of College Football on the main channel, because we are moving the Sooner show to the main channel or some combination of the main channel and the SEC channel. Yes, Bishop Frank, if you were joining us just here in the last few minutes, make sure that you watch what you missed. We had Parker Thune on outlining the weekend in Sooner recruiting. Gregory, you're awesome. You are here all over the place, regardless of the team, regardless of the show. So thank you so much for your support. Gregory, you asked last night about when we are going to have our State of the State address here at the Voice of College Football that we do each and every offseason, typically a week or two after the end of the college football season. However, I believe we're going to delay that maybe a month to 6 weeks, and you will see why we will want to do that a little bit later in the offseason. But sometime in March, we will do a State of the State here at the Voice of College Football to update everyone on what we've got working this offseason and what our plans and goals are. Dave's here. More Michigan channel than Buckeyes. Pretty much big two for same place to argue. Yes, regardless of the show, folks, just get used to Ohio State and Michigan fans arguing on our shows. For as much as I would like for these shows to be dedicated to these particular teams, Oklahoma in this case, and Sooner fans to be able to come and listen to the content and to share discussion and debate in the chat, I will never restrict the college football talk in any such way. There may be other shows where if you are watching a show and it's a particular team that's focused on, they may kick you out for talking about other teams and other conferences. Not here. As long as you are talking about college football and just being friendly, having a good time, you are welcome here, regardless of who you want to talk about. Gregory, actually, if you really analyze the content here and what I have to say about Ohio State, yeah, I'm really not a super fan. You can go to a lot of other places where they are talking so much more Ohio State football, and in a fan mentality, we cut it straight. There has been so much criticism of Ohio State football on this channel that I in no way would call myself a super fan, and anybody that's listening and watching through the years would do that in any such way. Yes, I grew up an Ohio State fan. I'm still an Ohio State fan. I would like them to win every game. However, yes, we cut it straight, and there's been much criticism of Ohio State football, and we do our best to tell it like it is. And certainly during that State of the State address, we will want to get your feedback, as we always do. We want your feedback every day in terms of what type of content you would like to partake in, because many of my content offerings obviously bomb. So I don't have the pulse of College Football Nation. I do a poor job of that. I know what I like to talk about. I know what I like to produce content on, but I'm a little bit more reasonable, logical, intentional about structure of college football, about scheduling, and about organization, and about the structure of the leagues and the power structure and the rosters and the football on the field. Many of you, it's been obvious to see view totals both here on my channel and I guess on other channels. I really don't look at other channels, but of course, YouTube feeds me the thumbnails that you see anytime you jump on YouTube to see whatever they're feeding you to try to entice you to watch, that people want to hear gossip. That's all there is to it. If this channel fails, if this channel ceases to exist at some point, it will be because we don't gossip enough. Absolutely. That will be the reason. That will be the reason. And it may be because of a few other factors, like I don't have a nice enough set or something like that. And we will work on those things as we go forward. Believe me, there have been reasons why we haven't the last couple of years, because we certainly had the intent, a particular off season about 2 years ago, to tackle, 2 off seasons ago, to redesign the set and to really upgrade the product here from an aesthetic standpoint, from a production standpoint. But a few things happened in life that delayed us a couple of years. So we're getting to that. Hopefully this off season is the intent. I will never promise anything. It is my thought that it is stupid to promise anything that can't be delivered. So I will tell you my intent. So yeah, a lot of people love the gossip out there, the speculation. So those are the type videos that are exploding out there. And I think there's a reasonable place for speculation. Jim Harbaugh retires. Or I'm sorry, Jim Harbaugh leaves to go to the Los Angeles Chargers. He leaves Michigan. So, of course, we're going to speculate on coaching candidates. That's not speculation. That's an obvious, there's a coaching vacancy, who would be the top candidates. But the speculation and the gossip, I think we've dragged ourselves to a place on social media and in the conversation of sports and other things in this country and in this world to the point where we have people that are thriving on YouTube and social media that are basically, we are not just now commenting and responding to people that are commenting, we're responding to people that are commenting and criticizing other people that are commenting on the action on the field or whatever the coaching move that was made or the hiring or firing. So we have people that are commentating, then we have other people that are commenting and criticizing and critiquing their comments. And now we've got people that are actually commenting and critiquing on the people that are commenting and critiquing. It's just mind-boggling and numbing. But that's the world in which we live in. And I will partake in that as long as my conscience allows me to a certain degree. And then if we produce really good college football content and it fails to resonate, then we will pack up our bags and do something else. I so much appreciate everyone being here at the Voice of College Football. I should express this more often, that I could be talking to no one right now. The videos could not be successful and the videos could be seen by no one. So we appreciate your time. We know that you've got 1 million+ options. You've got millions of options, not just in college football, but in sports, in entertainment, politics, otherwise, to watch, to consume. And so for you to be here, we appreciate your viewership. We appreciate your support. We appreciate everyone who, like our guy on the screen, Bishop here, has basically said, I hit the like button. So it starts right there in regards to your support for the channel. We got an SEC channel. We got a Big 12 channel. So please check them out. The links are in the description section of this video right here, the Big 12 channel and the SEC channel as well. So check them out. Just this week on the SEC channel, we had an Ole Miss update, Arkansas update, Kentucky update, Georgia update. On the Big 12 channel, BYU update, Oklahoma State update. And then we also have our various Big 12 shows that are delivered there each and every week. We may start an SEC show if I can find the time in my schedule. We may start up an SEC show because I just think it's required. It's needed. We could do a great SEC show. I truly believe that the resources and the time are the only thing standing in our way of being the very best college football channel anywhere. Truly believe that if we had the time to prepare shows, as you see elsewhere, yeah, we would kill it beyond belief. But you work with what you've got. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. We'll be back here at 4 p.m. Eastern time with the transfer portal update. Don't forget, 7 p.m. Eastern time every Friday, including tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, the Big Ten live show right here at the Voice for College Football on the main channel. And we will see you at 4 and at 7. Have a great day.